Well, as you can see, it's a snow day here in Maryland, but I'm not going to let that stop me from showing you how to finish off this HIDprojectors revision 2.0 Signature Series with switchback installation. So what I have left to do is tap into the turn signal circuit. So we're going to tap into this guy using these wires right here. So I've got the heater running right here. Some of the snow is finally starting to melt off. I'm going to pull that grill off one more time, show you how I finished wiring in the passenger side halos. I did it from the driver's side. So the thing about vehicle wiring is there are so many different ways to achieve the same end result, and a lot of different preferences, particularly if you have installers who do a certain type of wiring. They'll never use this and they'll always use that. So lots of options. Do whatever makes the most sense for your situation, but I'm going to show you how I did it for mine. Having the grill off was nice because I could show you how I ran those wires, but I will say having the grill off is nice because it makes it much easier to get into here and tap into this turn signal circuit. I see a lot of people try and do that from underneath. You've got a little bit of room here and it ends up with a really janky sort of a wire tap with some not so pleasant to look at and probably not very secure wiring done. But if you pull off the grill, you can see you've got a lot more room to work with. So what we're going to do is tap into one of these wires, and I'll show you which one because we're going to test it. So because I have all of my wiring from the passenger side ran over to the driver's side where I have all my connections for my headlights and my halos and angel eyes and all that stuff. The one thing I do need to still do is tap into the passenger side turn signal, but my connector is over here, not over there anymore. So I'm just going to run one wire from the turn signal over. I'm just going to take and make a jumper. And basically what I'm going to do to tap into the turn signals is make two of these jumpers, one of them longer to get from the turn signal over, and then a short one that's right here for the driver's side turn signal and then up behind that light. So I'm just going to take a length of wire. One end's going to be bare, I'll show you why, and the other end's going to have the female spade connection to tap into the male spade connection that's already there on the wiring harness. All right, here we go. Here's basically what I have. This is the long one. The short one looks just like it, except, you know, shorter. So one end is bare, and I'll show you how we're going to fit the bare end. I'm going to go ahead and strip off maybe 2 inches of this sheathing off the wire, and I'll show you why. So I'm going to go ahead and build and install the passenger side one, and then I'll show you the driver's side one in a little bit more detail. It's just a better angle for getting video. All right, so I've got my turn signal on and just using a test light to verify. I'm pretty sure I know. Yep, that's it. So it is going to be this white wire on the end. That's the one we're going to tap into, and what I want to do is pull this little bit of wire harness off and get back up in there. And make sure you go ahead and turn off your turn signal. You're not going to need that anymore. It's very duct tapey. More tape. Okay, so now we can break out the wire we want. Again, it's that wire on the end. Now, again, there's a couple ways to do this. You can T-tap into it, military splice. So I've pushed it through. I don't know if you can see there. It goes through there and basically comes out down here next to and behind the headlight, which is where our existing wiring is running. That way I can have it all sort of run up together and it won't look unsightly and will also be protected. All right, so what I want to do is carefully remove some of the sheathing off of this wire without actually cutting the wire, because I'm going to use what's called a, I've always heard it called a military tap, but basically instead of separating the wire, what you're doing is splitting it in half. And so the wire itself, the integrity of the wire, is not disrupted, as opposed to what would happen if you cut it and then re-spliced it, right? So this wire is just as whole as it was before I took the sheath off. It's just now been exposed. This is how I like to tap into existing wires. And I'm going to use my test light to split that wire basically right in the middle. And now I've just made a little hole in there that conveniently will allow me to tap in this new wire just like threading a needle. So bring it down like that, and I'm going to wrap a couple of turns on one side of that wire, and then I'm going to come around and then wrap a couple of turns on the other, and I'm just going to finish it off. So I realized my camera decided not to play nice, but that's what I end up with. So threaded it through, wrapped a couple times on this side of the purple wire, and then went on to the other side, wrapped a couple wires, and basically have an actual mechanical T-tap. Now this is going to be very strong without solder. So a lot of people are going to decide they want to solder this joint right here. But to be honest with you, I don't like that idea. So this joint is going to hold very well just the way it's tied together. And at this point, it's still easy to reverse. So this method will work really well without solder. It'll be fine if you do decide to solder it. What I'm going to do is put a zip tie on that as a strain reliever, and it shouldn't go anywhere. So the zip tie is going to go at the top of the joint. That basically is going to tighten up and suck up those two wires so they're not able to move freely. I did it while the liquid electrical tape is still wet so that that could sort of mush in all together and then form a nice watertight seal around the entire perimeter. So I'm going to let that dry, and then I'll come back and clean it up. All right, now that that is dried for the most part, reapply tape, and I'm just going to go ahead and roll all the way up and past this jointed area. You cannot tear this tape. You have to cut it. It will not tear. All right, there we go. Now what I'm going to do is get this loom back in. All right, so now that's like that, and next I'm going to wrap on the outside of this. This is overkill. I get it, for what most of you are going to do. Sometimes I enjoy the process of trying to make these things look as factory fresh as possible. All right, so there we go. That is how we have tapped in to that turn signal circuit. And by golly, that is a fine job, if I do say so myself. And then this side, I think looks pretty good. So this wire is running up and comes along here with all this loom, comes up and then taps into the harness here. Everything is buttoned down and tidy. All right, now the grill goes back on. Now, if you've never done this before with the grill, really the thing you need to know is you have to get the bottom lined up. Again, this is harder because I have a winch here. And there's a center indexing post that has to go into place first. And once that gets lined up with its hole, then all the other clips should line up and then click into place. And don't forget to click the sides. Then our little plastic rivet things go in, leave them extended, push them in, and then push the top down. That's pretty easy. I can plug back in the turn signals, which you can't even tell it's been modified now looking at it from the outside. All right, here we go. This is the final moment of truth. Right blinker, left blinker. Hazards. Boom. All right, guys, that's it. That's the revision 2.0 Signature Series with Switchback HID headlights from HIDprojectors.com. And yeah, it's been a really fun install. And like I said, as you've probably seen in this video, this can be either really simple or really complicated depending on how you want to do it. So sometimes I go overboard in other areas and shortcut other areas. You may do the same. But in the end, you have many options here on how you want to do this install. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.